Not everything in nature is as it seems, like the animal hit by a car in the Brazilian state of Rio Grande do Sul in 2021. The victim at first appeared to be a feral dog, but as staff at the local Wild Animal Rehabilitation Centre observed his behaviour, they began to suspect that the creature was something else. Something not just unheard of in South America, but also to science. It's been estimated that 1 in 10 animal species are capable of hybridizing, or producing offspring which inherit genetic material from different taxa. What we're talking about here is how closely related two organisms are on a genetic level. On a phylogenetic tree, we can see that two species within the same genus are pretty closely related. Interbreeding between closely related species is more common than we once thought, especially in plants. Far more rare are hybrids between different genera. Now we're talking about organisms who are only related by belonging to the same family, meaning that their genomes have likely changed far more. Perhaps the most well-known of these is the narluga, the offspring of sea unicorns and belugas. The name narluga being a combination of narwhal and beluga. This is a pretty common theme in naming hybrids. The Rehabilitation Centre's mystery creature had most of the physical traits of a dog, enjoyed barking and playing with dog toys, but also refused dog food in favour of live rats, and displayed a tendency to climb into bushes, leading the staff to suspect that the young female might be a hybrid between a feral dog and some other local wild canid. This might not sound significant. Hybrids within the Canidae family are so common in some countries that they can pose a real problem for conservation. For example, various wolf species have hybridized with coyotes, feral dogs, and potentially can with golden jackals. This can have a profound impact on a species' gene pool, such as historically the precariously small red wolf population interbreeding with coyotes. Wolves, coyotes, golden jackals, domestic dogs are all part of the same genus, Canis. Canis lupus, Canis latrans, Canis aureus, Canis familiaris are all species closely related enough to facilitate interbreeding. South America has 6 genera of Canidae: Atelocynus, Pseudocynum, Chrysocynum, Speothus, Urocynum, and Lycolopex. Did you notice how none of these are Canis? This meant that if she was in fact a hybrid, one of the animal's parents belonged to a completely different genera, and that is significant. Pause the video now if you want to play a game of Guess the Parent. All done? Okay, the parent was Lycolopex, the pampas fox. Pampas foxes are more closely related to dogs than the familiar red fox Vulpes vulpes is, but it's still been over 5 million years since the common ancestor between domestic dogs and pampas foxes. Because this pairing seemed so unlikely, the authors also considered that her strange genetic makeup could be the result of intraspecific variation, a change in pampas fox physiology resulting from a change in environment. This could mean that as it adapted to habitat loss, variations in the pampas fox genome could resemble that of a domestic dog. After looking at all the evidence though, the researchers were confident enough in their conclusion of a hybrid to name the animal Dogxim, a combination of dog and Dogxim do campo, the Portuguese name for a pampas fox, and she remains a Dogxim to this day. But why is all this even important? Are we just fascinating over an oddity of nature here? Shouldn't scientists really be spending their funding on, saving endangered species, rather than determining whether or not a fox and a dog can make babies? Well, focusing on Dogxim is doing just that, showing that our actions are responsible for this hybridization event provides even more evidence that we need to change our way of living. The study authors point out that the anthropization of the pampas fox habitat has caused this species to be tolerant of human disturbance, increasing overlapping ranges with the domestic dog, and may have facilitated this interspecific hybridization. What they're basically saying is, we did this. The encroachment of our cities and introduction of feral dogs to pampas fox habitat is because of human presence, and we're increasing the odds of more hybrids occurring in the future as we continue to place environmental pressure on them. In fact, the IUCN reports that only 0.1% of the original 500,000 square kilometres of pampas fox habitat remains unaltered. The presence of hybrids does pose a very real risk to pampas foxes in the future because of something known as introgressive hybridization. Also just known as introgression, this is where genes or alleles, variations of genes from one taxon, are integrated into the gene pool of another through backcrossing. For example, say a purebred wild wolf and feral domestic dog mate and produce offspring. Their pups are termed F1 hybrids. Just go with that we call them that, okay? When these wolf dogs mature, there's a real chance they'll be inclined to breed with other pure wolves, and this is backcrossing. Their pups are known as BC1 backcross 1 hybrids. As pure wolves and hybrids continue to mix, parts of the dog genome become incorporated into that of the wolf population. Within only a few generations, a small change is made to the genetic makeup of the wolves, and a part of their evolutionary distinctiveness becomes lost. By the third generation of backcrossing, it becomes very difficult, if not impossible, to recognise a hybrid wolf, but new advances in this field are starting to make some headway in this. As well as altering the physiology of wolves, or in our case pampas foxes, those small changes to their DNA as a result of introgression of domestic dog genes could also easily introduce deleterious alleles. Deleterious genes have the potential to cause disease in an individual, and these are something you really don't want to be introducing to a population, especially one that's already under environmental pressure. So far, however, there have been no new reports of other dogseams in Rio Grande do Sul, although another animal was allegedly reported killed in a different traffic collision prior to Dogxim's discovery. In my own completely unprofessional opinion, it's unlikely that this is or will be an isolated incident. Pampas foxes are one of the most successful carnivores in Brazil, and with an estimated 30 million stray dogs, it looks to favour the chances of another hybridization event occurring. I'm sad to say that I can't write you a positive ending to this video. In August, the study authors requested additional photos of Dogxim from the zoo she was being kept at, only to be told that she had died in the spring of this year. Not only had her death gone unreported, the zoo had also failed to perform a necropsy, prompting an ongoing investigation by the Brazilian government. At the time of writing, her death remains a tragedy in its own right and an invaluable loss to science. Hybridization remains a very real threat to wild canids, and I'll be creating a follow-up video sometime soon, focusing on wolf and dog hybridization in Europe and new research to address the problem. If this video has inspired you to help our wild canids, then why not make a difference this holiday season? As always, all purchases from my shop support various efforts to keep wolves in the wild, and if you're feeling adventurous, then check out the description to see how you can join in wolf monitoring fieldwork this winter. That's all for this video. I'll see you with an update soon, and don't forget, understand, coexist, and evolve.